Great. So, welcome everybody who's here live. My name's Kathy, and for those of you that might be joining later, glad you're able to do it whenever it suits you. Uh, I'm in a different space than you usually see me in. My house is under some repairs, so I'm looking a little more tan. I'm not actually tanned like this, but just experimenting with different rooms and lighting. So we'll see how it goes. So this is an all levels flow class. And so it's an active class, and the flow just means that we are um, breathing, we're moving. I'm trying to sequence postures intelligently, and I'm cueing on breath between postures, and that's something that is a practice that evolves, and it can be just taken really lightly. And for some of us, having an emphasis on breath can increase anxiety. um, for many of us, having the breath as an anchor is a way to really initiate a lot of um, ease in our nervous system, in that side of the nervous system. So um, we've been doing lots of probably unconscious, even just scanning for threat and doing what our reptilian brain does to try to keep us alive. And so that's all just what it is. But it's good to be aware of these things that are going on, and the push and pull between um, trying to really lean into what feels like a pleasant sensation, even in our physical postures, and trying to escape or avoid, push away the things that we would perceive as being um, unpleasant. And so we can use our practice today just to notice how these things might be happening as we move and breathe together, as well as and especially in the mental landscape. So I had started to say we would start sitting up, but let's not. You mentioned having a little bit of soreness in the tailbone, Carolyn. So let's lie down so that we can all be in a posture of ease. Can extend the legs long, or the knees can be bent. And for those of you that prefer to have some pillows underneath your thighs, you can do that. We'll just be here for a few minutes to land and to step back from the activities of the early part of this day, to create a bubble of care for yourself between what may or may not be coming next, uh, what plans we might have, or what worries are coming as we slow down. Just some of those things that hijack our attention, that if we can allow and have the awareness for there to be space and some softness around all of that, so that it's okay to be here right now. And we don't have to go along with the big reaction, emotional reaction that comes to awareness of thinking loops or trains of thinking that just become more noticeable when we slow down. So, as a way to give yourself some support and an anchor, you can start to bring your attention into the body resting, lying on the earth here, the support. And the weight of the heels or the soles of the feet, if your knees are bent, the spreading out and the contact of any part of the back of the thighs, back of the pelvis. Anything that you might be feeling behind or between the shoulder blades, the ground coming up to meet that area. Scanning the body in that upward trajectory, the skull, the weight of the head, 15 or 20 pounds. And then through around the top of the skull, across the forehead. Checking in with the face. Noticing briefly if there's any obvious tension here around the jaw or the eyes, things that we might not be aware of as we're straining to concentrate on a screen. We're just working things out. Aware of thoughts without having to go along on any storylines. Down across the throat, the breastbone. Can you feel anything happening in this area around the heart? The seed of compassion. Might feel a rise and fall of the lungs in this area. Inviting some gratitude towards this organ, this pump that will facilitate the moving parts of our practice and keeps us alive, the blood pumping, something that we take for granted. And moving the awareness down to the belly, the low ribs, the front of the pelvis. Seeing what the sensations are here right now. And so for some of us, this is an area for focus to just feel the breath, feeling the oxygen coming in. And the carbon dioxide moving out. And if you don't feel anything, then that's okay too. That's awareness. If it's helpful, if you find that the mind is super active, some agitation, then as you connect with the breath, you might repeat a simple word to yourself, a couple of notations as the breath comes in, just that, just the word in. And as the exhale empties and carries carbon dioxide away, the word out. In. Out. Allowing the awareness to move continuously down through the front of the quads, knees, shins, ankles, any sensations that might be here, tops of the feet, the toes. Taking in a feeling of space or temperature between your body and the air that's surrounding the surface of the skin. Allowing the attention to rest a little bit longer, either on the breath and maybe those notes of in and out, or sound. The field of hearing is another anchor for mindfulness. picking up any of the sounds that are in your space or outside your windows. Just to know that hearing is present, breath is present. And we are all here together sharing this practice, inviting friendliness and some equanimity so that there's awareness of the push and pull to lean in or to want to escape. Let's take 3 breaths now in through the nose. Pause at the top. And then exhale to empty, 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 and just hold at the bottom. Feel the belly sink, contract a little bit there. Low back dropping. Another breath in through the sinus. Pause on full, feeling the ribs lift, but then dropping the belly down. And then exhale, 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 and engage at the bottom. Belly contains. Breath comes in. Filling up, hold. Exhale, exhale. You can make some sound, empty all the way. Even the pelvic floor draws in. There's a lot of engagement in the core. And then try the last couple breaths in and out through the nose like that. Just in your own pace and time. Full breath cycles. Good, let's stretch the legs out long and the arms out long now, coming out of that still shape. And let's be active in making fists with the hands, drawing the toes towards the face and just tightening all of the muscles that you can in your entire body. Just really squeeze and tighten and clench and feel what it's like to be engaging, to be gripping, to be trying to hold on and try to, or just see what it's like to breathe when this is all going on, holding all of that tension for one more inhale. Exhale, let everything just flop, wiggle your legs, just let your feet windshield wiper side to side. And then hug the knees in towards the chest and start to rock across the lower back a few times, massaging across the low back, rocking with the knees hugged in tight, or they might be a little further away, so modify. Over to one elbow and then the other elbow. Good, come back to the center line. Exhale, bring the knees in tight and then release them away a little bit on the inhale. So just holding the tops of your knees or backs of your thighs and then squeeze the knees in on the exhale. Lengthen the tailbone. Try not to let the tailbone lift off the floor. Reach the knees away and then squeeze in so that the lumbar spine, the lower back stays long. And once more, breathing in and breathing out. Squeeze. And let your knees just come to hover above your hips and your shins parallel with the floor. And start to feel a need to engage the core muscles again. Let's press the hands into the thighs and feel the thighs pressing back into the hands. Should feel a little bit of space underneath the lower back, but the action is to sink the belly without rounding the spine at all. It's quite a bit of work here. Relax as you inhale and then press the thighs away again as you exhale and actively press the thighs and hands together. Relax on the inhale and one more time, press, press, press. Good, and then stay if you can with the shins just hovering there. And reach the arms above the chest as well, have the hands facing each other. We'll stretch the left leg out just a little bit. So Doesn't have to go low to the floor. It can be on quite a diagonal, and then reach the right arm back as well. And then bring the right arm back and the left knee back. So we're back in that flipped upside down table. Let's stretch the right leg now and the left arm away from each other on the diagonal. Inhale. And then exhale, come back to center. Left leg, right arm, reach back and forward on the inhale. Exhale, center, back to table, and then opposite side, opposite arm, opposite leg. Let's do a few more of these. Keeping the front ribs knitting down towards the hips. Engaging the transverse muscle that wraps around like a girdle. Let's do 2 more times each side. Slow is good. And back to center. Let's take the arms wide now, like wings, or you can take a cactus shape. We'll bring the shins together for a squeeze, and we'll take them maybe 30% over towards the right and just pause. It's not so much the left shoulder lifts up. Keep the left shoulder heavy and down, drawing energetically the left outer hip towards the ground. Back to center, inhale. So it's a little twist, but it's mostly the core warming up, and the knees a few inches to the left as the right hip hugs back and down, and the right shoulder stays grounded. Couple breaths there. Center on the inhale, and the knees to the right on the exhale. Same thing. Inhale, center, and just one exhale to the left. We'll do this a couple more times. Inhale, center, and exhale to the right. Might go a little further each time, and an exhale to the left. Come through center this time and come all the way over towards the right. So you can adjust your knees so that they're closer towards your right elbow or lower down towards your hips or even below. If you encounter some furniture or a pillow there that seems helpful to rest your knees or shins on, you can go for it. Your right hand to your outer left thigh. Take a breath in there. And then start to nod the chin over towards the left. Just kind of peeking out over the left side of the breastbone if that feels okay for the neck. Your eyes could be closed here or just with a little bit of opening and not a particular focus. And let's take 3 breaths on this side. That's 1, 2, 3. Engaging the navel back to spine. Bring the knees back up over the hips. Of course, you can place your feet back on the floor if you need to adjust your spine. Give it a couple of bounces. So we may have some discomfort in postures, but we're being smart about noticing the difference between that and pain. We're going to take the knees over towards the left. And this time we'll come all the way down. And so the knees could be up towards the left elbow. It's okay if your right shoulder is lifting up now, or you can wiggle it so that the knees are lower down and adjust your hips. Having a pillow under your shins or between your knees might be nice for your back if that feels tight. And then we'll nod the chin over towards the right. So this posture is beautiful for the internal organs, for wringing out the excess, for your digestion. Nothing to do. Allow the breath to move through this right side body. Maybe noticing some preference to right or left side, or where there's some difficulty with the breath. Exhale, knees come back to center. And hug them in one more time. Let's place the feet on the floor now. And we'll bring the right knee in towards the chest for a squeeze and press the right heel up towards the ceiling. I'm using my hands behind my right hamstring, but you could also bring in a long sock or a strap if you use something in your practice there. And just press up through that heel, lengthening the back line of the leg. And then point the toes as you breathe in, almost like you're making a fist with that foot. And then press the heel up on the exhale. Point the toes, make a fist with that foot, breathing in, and exhale, press the heel up. And then do a couple of windshield wipers of that foot without moving the leg so much. It's just in the ankle there, checking that out. One more inhale, pressing up through the heel. And exhale, cross the right ankle above the left knee. Pressing the right thigh away from center in this figure 4 shape with the left foot pressing towards the floor. Lengthen long through the tailbone and try to keep still a little bit of spaciousness underneath the lower back, so we don't curl that tailbone up towards the ceiling and put the back into flexion. That's one way of, just the way the body wants to exit the pose. So you can keep the left foot on the floor. If you're feeling a lot of jazz in the outer right hip, buttock area, just stay there. Or bring the right knee in towards the chest and keep actively moving the right knee away from the chest, or rolling those thigh muscles out with your hand. Just continuing to lengthen the tail and just smooth out the breath if it's helpful for you to do a couple of those in and out. Noticing in various poses, whether we are noting this is pleasant or unpleasant, wanting to stay or exit. Let's bring the left foot down now and stretch the right leg up towards the ceiling and shake it really loosely. And do this for a bit of time. Move some collagen, some of the synovial fluids, bringing some blood back to the heart. And then point the toes and slowly start to lower that leg. Keep it slow. We're lengthening the front hip psoas, the muscle that connects from the lower back through the pelvis to the hamstring. And coming down with that leg. Stretch the left leg out if you had that knee bent, and pause there for a moment just to take in left and right. More length or more weight one side of the body if we're noticing that. And then hug both knees in, exhale. And let's keep the left knee in towards the chest for a squeeze with the right foot on the floor now. Start with the right knee bent so you can lengthen the left leg up. You might come up for a moment just to catch the hamstring or bring in your strap or sock and press up through the heel. Could have a bend at the knee, but the leg is actively pressing into something to lengthen the back line. And then point the toes or make that fist towards the ceiling. And then press the heel up towards the ceiling. Just see if there's a preference or a reaction to this movement. Make a fist with the toes and then press the heel up. And then just trying to move the foot, the ankle joint side to side. If your joint wants to cooperate with that instruction from your brain. Keep breathing here. One more, press up through that heel. And then cross the left ankle above the right knee. Rock a little bit, finding the center line of your spine. Right foot presses to the floor. some sensation in that outer left hip, or draw the right knee in towards the chest without allowing the left knee to move in closer. So you can use your left hand or your left elbow or whatever might be there to encourage the external rotation in the upper thigh muscles, that hip ball and socket joint, for a couple more breaths there. Maybe some other area of the body is taking in some of the work. Let it be. Releasing the right foot. And then extend the left leg loosely to the ceiling and just really shake it out. Shake. Something on the bottom of the foot is persistent and sticky. Send that out into the universe, whatever it is. Mental, physical, energetic. Shake, shake, shake. And then point the toes and slowly start to lengthen that leg towards the other end of your space. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. That front hip, so as the leg comes down. And then the right leg comes long as well, and take it in. Now, as we've done both sides, breathing in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Knees come into the chest, exhale. And roll over to one side. Just pause there, transitioning from being on the back for a little while and pressing into the hand that's in front of your chest to come up. Good, we'll come right over to the hands and knees. I have something on my mat to cushion the knees a little bit, but not something that's going to be wobbly at all. So it's a very flat blanket. Let's come to a tabletop shape with the wrists under the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. Pressing into the palms with the fingers spread. And feeling the lift underneath the core, or you could be on fists if your wrists are tender. Not rounding the spine and also not letting it sag, but just coming right into that middle place, just to get a feel for what neutral is. Back of the skull is lifted, tailbone is long. And then start to let the tailbone lift and the belly drop and the breastbone move forward. Take a breath in there. Lifting the underside of the body now. Start to feel the tailbone tucking under, the rest of the spine follow along, and see if you can puff up between the shoulder blades, dropping the chin to the chest. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together. Let that initiate the movement as you reverse, and on the inhale, let the tailbone lift. And then on the exhale again, start to press into the hands, drop the tailbone, puff up between the shoulder blades. This is cat. And then inhale, coming into the extension again for a cow. I've really never seen a cow do this, but that's what it is. Exhaling, cat is flexion, and the inhale is the extension. And then come to center again and just loop the shoulders around. So just get into a movement that's not really a big circle. It's in the shoulders. The hips will be moving around, but see if you can just free up or see what's in the shoulders. And there's no nothing that's correct or wrong about any of this, just feeling it out. Could be a loop, a figure 8 loop, exploring what is happening here in the thoracic spine that can get pretty stuck. Good, come back to center now. And let's do a barrel roll. So lift the rib cage over to the right. So lifting it up, or like you've got a ball in your belly inside your rib cage, and then over on the other side, coming up and around. Imagining that you are just rolling that barrel or a ball inside your rib cage, up and over on one side, and then down, and You'll notice some flexion and extension all the way around this. Notice if one direction is easier than another or more appealing. Spots that have that, this is pleasant, and others that not so much. And then come back to the neutral tabletop. Take your knees back a little bit and your arms forward, and we'll come into an extended child's pose. So the breastbone comes towards the floor. Your elbows are, just let them be a little lifted, but wrap the upper arm bones under a little bit and let the forearms be dropping. And then shift your chest forward, come up a little bit, straighten the arms, and then again start to hug the elbows, the forearms towards the floor, and then come back up to straighten the arms. So we're shifting a little weight forward like a plank pose. Let's bring the forearms again, squeeze the elbows in, and one more time, press back into that plank. And then bring the forearms and the elbows down now and clasp your hands together. Start to come into a few of those cat and cow movements, dropping the head, rounding the spine. And then inhale, go the opposite way. Just make sure the elbows are underneath the shoulders as you exhale, and peel the belly up. Head will drop. And then inhale, squeeze between the shoulder blades. Really good for just coming out of all of our protective postures. One more time, curve and round, and then stretch the right leg back, curl the toes under, and the left leg back. And we're coming into a plank pose now that you're looking back towards your feet. Try not to let the hips lift too much, but lift the underside of the body. You can just gaze forward in the direction of the hands, or just looking straight down, lifting up the back of the skull. You can keep the knees lifted, or you can drop the knees down. We'll take 3 more breaths here into the sides of the ribs. Try to find some breath in the upper back as well. Notice any reactions to holding this pose for one more full breath. Tap the knees down. Wiggle the elbows a little forward and bring the thighs down now, and we'll come into a Sphinx posture. You can keep the hands clasped together, or you can take them apart, shoulder distance apart for the wrists. Stretch the legs back. Just lift one leg up and then the other a little bit. So you get that front hip flexor psoas muscle that's so tight from sitting. Nice and long. So if you're feeling pinching in the low back at all, you want to lower down, walk the arms a little further forward, or even rest your forehead on your hands. So we're not permitting pain, but we're also allowing ourselves to move into what feels like a therapeutic discomfort. We're strengthening the muscles underneath the shoulder blades for 2 more breaths there. And let's slowly lower that down. I'm going to stretch out the arms wide. And turn to look towards the left. So you can rest your head down. You're on your right temple. Start to slide the left palm in. So it's just in front of your face, and your left elbow is above your wrist. You can come to your fingertips there. And then just stretch the left leg back. Point the toes and reach it back. Lengthen out of the hip socket. Right arm is reaching away from your shoulder. You start to lift that leg a little more and open up the left hip. So start to stack it towards the right hip. You might adjust. You might lift your head up a little bit. Might feel better like that. Crawl the right palm away a little further. We're stretching across the collarbones. Or you can let your head rest down. The leg can stay straight and not too far back, or you can bend the knee and let the weight of the heel just drop. And keep some core engagement, always having the ribs knitting down towards the pelvis, so the lower back keeps some Keep some length. It doesn't go into full extension. Take one more breath there. Exhale, lengthen that leg out, come back to center. Let's bring both hands now wide, right off your mat. Wiggle your hips a little bit in center, lift the elbows, press the toenails to the floor, and then roll a marble forward and come into a gecko shape. Breathing in and also lengthen on the way down. Exhale. Press into the fingertips. Pull the breastbone forward, lengthen out of the waist, and exhale, lower. I'm just thinking about length here on this last one. Breathing in and exhale, lengthen down. Other side, so left arm reaches away. Shifting your gaze over towards the right. And then tent the right fingers just in front of your face or chest. Start to roll, lengthen out the right leg, and then lift it up. You can lift your head as well and adjust so that it's comfortable for your left shoulder. That's a relative term, but it just feels like a good stretch. So find your spot, your juicy spot to just explore here. Maybe bend the right knee and track the tailbone nice and long to the bottom end of your mat for 2 more breaths there. It's 1, 2, getting a little bit of a twist as well. Straighten out the right leg, lengthen back to center. You can come to that gecko shape again, or bring the fingertips in line with the shoulders now for a cobra pose, if that feels available to you now that we're a little warmed up. And exhale, lower. And do 1 more cobra. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Press the palms, send the belly up and back, and let's take a child's pose. So a counter pose for all of those back bends. You can have your knees right together, sitting back towards your heels. You might rest your forehead fist on fist, or having the knees wide with some room for the belly. We'll take 5 breaths there, feeding some nutrition, some healing, enjoying the flexion in opposition. Just noticing the activity of the mind here. The leaning into pleasant, the pushing away unpleasant, or not really even noticing the neutral. We're making space for it all. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Let's come back to the hands and knees. And so we'll curl the toes under now and just hover the hips. You can be pressing into palms. Always press the inner palm to protect the outer wrist, or it can be the fists again. We'll just hover the knees for a moment and then bring them back down. And then hover the knees again. Inhale. Exhale, bring them back down. Knees lift, inhale. And then send the hips up and back. Keep the knees quite bent. Separate your feet a little bit wider than hips distance apart. And just let the head hang, tracking towards the thumbs, accentuating the length of the spine here. This is a short downward dog. We'll start to keep the left knee deeply bent and straighten out the right leg. Let your hips swing over to the left a little. And then bend the right knee deeply, letting the left heel drop, and that leg might straighten out a little, swinging your hips to the right. Keep some equal pressure through the palms as you walk it out, left and right. Good. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Let's walk the hands back towards the feet and fold over the legs there. You can have a bend at the knees, a generous bend, and traction out through the spine.
Taking a hold of opposite elbows in front or behind the legs and letting the head hang like a ripe piece of fruit to breathe in. And breathe out. And then release the arms for another inhale. And exhale, slowly roll your way all the way up. Looping the shoulders up and around and down the back a couple of times. And then bring the hands around to either clasp behind the back, or you can use the sock or strap, something to hold on to back there if the shoulders are tight. Clasping the hands or hooking the thumbs together, keeping a little bend at the knees, and just the breastbone going up towards the ceiling. So we're really focusing on a lot of opening of the front body, strengthening the back body today. And let's drop into a seat. So taking a version of Utkatasana or chair pose. And so you won't get too far down with this amount of extension in the spine. We're doing that on purpose. But enough to start to feel the legs, the strength of the legs, the demand on the legs. And this is a really good pose to be able to just be present to, the body's inclination to lean in or lean out, to wonder when is this challenge going to end? Stay a little bit longer. You can be dropping your seat, or you can be at a higher point, taking the extension out of the lower back. So ribs knit down for one more breath. And then belly to thighs. Exhale, fold over the legs and let the arms reach up, and let the heads of the shoulders roll forward for 3, 2, and 1. Let's drop into that seat again on the inhale, coming up. Just release the strap and reach the arms forward. Palms flip towards the ceiling. Just getting into this a little bit more for 3. This is called fierce pose for 2. And 1. Slowly bring yourself up to Samasthiti, equal standing, maybe a few more shoulder rolls again, and just taking that in. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Let's reach the arms up here on an inhale. And fold on an exhale. So half sun salutes. Come up halfway as you lengthen, press hands to shins, and then belly to thighs to exhale. Press into the feet, come all the way up on the inhale. And exhale, tracing the center line back to the heart. Pause for an inhale. Exhale, release the arms. So this is our flow. Inhale, look up. Exhale to fold. Chin to chest, lengthen halfway, hands to shins or fingertips to the floor. And exhale, fold. Press into the feet, open arms, extending. And exhale back. Let's move on, breathing in. And fold on an exhale. Halfway lengthen. And then bend the knees. Let your fingertips or palms come to the floor and crawl forward. Let's come into a plank pose. And so this time with the palms pressing or fists, and press out through the heels for 3, 2, and 1. Tap the knees down for a breath in. And then exhale, narrow elbows to lower. Stretch the legs long, take any back bend, so the baby cobra or back to that gecko shape. Exhale, lower. Press the palms towards the low ribs and draw the elbows into the body and take yourself back through table, breathing in. Exhale, toes curl under, downward facing dog, or you could just stay in child's pose. We'll take 3 breaths here. That's 1, 2, And 3, high on the tiptoes, inhale. And exhale, walking the feet up towards the front. Lots of little steps. Lengthen halfway, breathing in. And fold on the exhale. And press into the feet, come all the way up, inhale. Let's do one more just like that. Exhale, fold. Halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, plant the palms, wrists under shoulders, and step the legs back one at a time. Plank pose here. Take a couple breaths there. Just moving through these slowly, tap the knees down to inhale, and then exhale, lower, narrow the elbows. Loop shoulders, find your back bend, breathing in. Exhale, lengthen forward, press back through table on an inhale. Exhale, child's pose or downward facing dog again for 3. Exhaling for 2. Being here, inhabiting this body right now, and 1. High on the tiptoes, walking towards the front, halfway lengthen, fold over the legs to empty, and press into the feet, come all the way up, inhale. And then let's hook the thumbs together there, exhale. Press down through the feet, up and over towards the right. Inhale, center. Hook the thumbs the opposite way and exhale over towards the left. Inhale, center. We'll move on and fold over the legs. Halfway lengthen. And then exhale, bend the knees. We'll plant the palms or fingertips under shoulders. Blocks can help here. And we'll step the left leg back. Just going to step the left leg back to a low lunge position. Sinking the hips to breathe in there. And then exhale, tap the back knee down. Let's reach the arms up into a crescent lunge for an inhale. And exhale, bring the hands back down. We'll pick up the back knee. Lean some weight forward into the hands and stepping to downward dog from there. Let's take a breath in and out. One more like that, breathing in and breathing out. And then take the left leg and reach it up and back. 3-legged dog, press out through that heel. You could have a bend in the right knee. And then bring the left knee towards the chest, lift the heel high, looking towards the hands now to step the left foot up. Just keep the back knee lifted, light on the fingertips or whatever your hands are resting on for a breath in this low lunge. And then push off the back foot and step the feet together at the front to fold, empty out. Lengthen halfway, breath in. Exhale to empty. Then press into the feet, come all the way up, inhale. Second side, exhale, fold. Spine coming to parallel with the floor as the breath fills in and the exhale takes us down. Pressing into palms or fingertips to step the right leg back now. Feet hips distance apart and taking a breath in that lunge, trying to find some extension in the upper back. And exhale, tap the right knee down. Reaching the arms up for a crescent lunge. Some of that extension in the back here and front hip flexor psoas, right side. And exhale, bring the hands back down. Pick up the back knee. Press into the palms and we'll just step right back, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. If you need to take a break, child's pose is there. Wiggling the feet a little closer together so that we can reach the right leg up and back to breathe in. 3-legged dog. And then right knee towards the nose, keeping the seat lifted. Lots of space between the chest and the floor, looking forward. Stepping the right foot up, lengthening the out through the left heel to breathe in, low lunge. Pushing off the back foot to step the feet up to the front to fold here, exhale. Halfway lengthen, breathe in, and fold, exhale. And press into the feet, come all the way up. Inhale. Exhale, trace the center line. Release the arms, take a moment in Samastitahi, equal standing. Just feeling what's here right now. In, out, sound, reaction, space for it all to be okay. Now let's just step wide on our mat or towel with the legs quite wide. So we'll just do a couple of warrior two. Turn the right toes to face the short end of your mat or space. Line up your front heel with your back arch. And then bend the front knee. It's going to be a tendency to lean your spine as well. Take your right hand to your right ribs and move it in the opposite direction, reaching the left arm back. And so the right knee often will want to swing into center, these inner thigh muscles tight. So engage in the glutes and wrap the right knee open towards the baby toe side of that foot and then press out through the right hand. I'm hitting the wall here. So let's flex out through the wrists and get a bit of a stretch there as well. Another good pose for just encountering some of that push and pull. Let's change the position of the hands and make little fists there to stretch the back of the wrist from some of the plank and cobra postures. Hanging in here for one more inhale. Let's exalt the warrior, drop the left arm down and take one more breath in there, reaching the right arm up. And then straighten the right leg, take a side stretch, inhale. Parallel the feet, exhale. Let's bring the hands around behind or just to catch the hips and squeeze the elbows together. Dropping the tailbone down and then folding. Let's just come halfway for a breath. And then all the way, keep squeezing the elbows towards the ceiling or just in that direction. Just an active forward fold, keeping the extension in the back, but letting the head just swing. You can bring your fingertips to the floor and come up halfway. And bend deeply through the right knee. Get a stretch underneath the left inner thigh. Keep the whole outer left foot pressing to the floor. Inhale, center left knee bends and start to extend and feel a bit of a lift underneath your right arch. Inhale, center. Hands to waist, belly draws in to lift back up and then turn the left toes out and adjust so that you have lots of space to bend the left knee. Use your left hand to move the left ribs towards the right. Stretch the right arm. And then the left arm. Good, and then we're looking out over the left fingertips. We'll flip the palms just towards the ceiling and do that action from the shoulders, flipping palms up and then flipping palms down. And flipping palms up as the breath comes in and out. Lots of courage here just to stay with the challenge for one more inhale. Drop the right arm down, exhale. Lift the left arm up, exalted warrior. Inhale, straighten the front leg and bring the feet to parallel again. Just heel toe in a little bit closer and drop the heels in and the toes out and sit into a little squat. Just let your head rest. Take all of the weight of it. All of that
brain power, all of that thinking, planning, and judging, and just give it a hug with your shoulders. Let's now twist, so let the left gaze come over the right shoulder or one shoulder, and press away with the opposite arm. Center inhale, keeping the inner thighs nice and wide and long as you switch sides. And through center, inhale. Goddess pose, exhale, coming up a little bit, pressing the hands to the heart for 3, 2, and 1. Straighten the legs. Whew. Exhale, shake it off. Just bounce the heels, let everything go. Just like what you might see in nature with some animals coming out of the river, or just getting out of a tense situation, letting everything jiggle its way out. Just jiggle the flesh, shake it, shake it. Breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And pause. We'll come down to the ground. I know we're a couple minutes from closing. And so let's just lay it down, and we'll take a rest for these final couple of minutes before we join together to close. Coming back to the shape that you started in at the beginning. And so I have a bell that I'll ring to take us into a period of rest and digest. Switching gears. Just feeling what you feel, maybe some vibration. Still a bit of a higher heart rate. The slowing down, so the more awareness of the activity of the mind, and some of that looking ahead. Just cultivating the capacity to be with in a friendly way all of experience. Dropping the weight of the body, letting the eyes drop back in the skull. All of the organs in the front body, resting into the back body, dissolving into the earth. In a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. If you are in a place and wish to continue to rest or be in meditation after an active yoga practice, is the perfect time to be still. Otherwise, when you hear the sound of the bell, we'll just start to come back to life. Just getting a big stretch of the jaw, circling the ankles and wrists. Squeeze if you like. And rolling over to one side. Pressing up to find a comfortable seat, maybe bolstered up on something. Or you can sit on your couch or bed. So we can consciously seal our practice for ourselves and with each other, and acknowledge the support and help of this community. Offering the benefits of our practice, maybe giving those away, taking them for ourselves, and then Acknowledging that the impact of that will be translated into our thoughts, speech, and action going forward, and in some way to benefit other beings. Namaste.